Oh yeah, and I'm gonna turn on Instagram as well. Do you have a fully charged phone this week?
I'm gonna try, buddy. I got my I got my little anchor hooked up to it, but I'm hoping it's just gonna give me maintain it. You never know with these things sometimes.
I'm sure it'll be. We'll sort it out. This is looking great because the leaner I get for this prep, the less like double chin I got on this like up angle from.
Just keep cranking her up, right?
Yeah. Yeah. All right, let's straighten this shit out. Hey, how's it going, everybody? All right. Well, that's an old one. We don't want that. All right, welcome everybody to the live stream. This is episode 9. This is crazy, man. Been doing this shit for over 2 months already.
Yeah, it feels like it's been a month, I guess, since I was on what it was on 4 of
Yeah.
the Q&A. Yeah, so it's been about a month, a little over
Which
a
went
month.
pretty good. That was
yeah, it was good.
We got decent downloads on that one.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that thing's recording. I'm gonna bring your volume up a bit. That's recording.
Oh shit.
Zoom's recording. YouTube is obviously recording because it's always recording. For everybody on Instagram, if you want to watch on YouTube, go to my stories. Oh, and I got to invite you.
I think I just sent the request for it.
Oh, perfect. Look at you, man. You're like a
there
pro.
You go. Fucking getting into it. There you go.
That's the party. Did I accept?
Yeah, you got it, bud.
Okay.
There we go.
Look at that. Jesus, that's perfect. Almost a little too professional. Shit.
Now you're echoing. Oh, no, that's me.
Oh, yeah, I got to shut my volume off, too. That screwed me up last time. Just turn it all the way down. I don't think it works if you put it on silent. You got to literally turn it down.
Is that better there?
I can't hear any. It sounds fine to me, man.
Okay, I can hear a little echo, but it's not a big deal.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the Mindful Hunter podcast. Oh, now I can hear a little bit. I'm sure it'll be fine. Monday night live stream here with my buddy Greg, and we are going to answer some questions. We're going to talk some shit and try not to say anything too inflammatory. Do me a favor and, I don't know, like some shit, share some shit, do that kind of shit. If you want to ask a question, you can ask one in YouTube. You can ask one in the IG channel, but that's the only way we're going to see them. Now, we only had a few questions, and I sent them to you in a DM, and now I don't know how to go get those because neither of us can look at our DMs. Right?
Yeah, what was it?
Why don't
one was about the archery. Arrows.
Right.
Aero building.
Okay, so we got to cover Aero building 101. I remember 3 books that have nothing to do with hunting, but helped you be a better hunter, right?
Yeah.
And there was one more. Do you remember what it was?
No, it was something. It was a new hunter, or was that the Aero one? Or something new hunter. No, I can't remember now.
Son of a bitch. How do we... Can you back out and go check your DM? Because if I leave the Instagram, I think it will... I just don't... I feel like a dick, especially because we didn't get that many this week. So it's like we might as well try and actually answer them. That's my bad.
No, it's all good.
So my buddy from the island just hopped on, Devin, and he says, if a vegan trad hunter does CrossFit, what one do they tell you about first? And my one vegan joke is, how do you know if somebody's a vegan?
Don't know.
Don't worry, they'll fucking tell you.
Yeah, that's for sure. I think I've heard that one before.
Hang on, I need a fan. I'm overheating.
Oh, here it is. Okay, I got it. Well, let me know when you're ready.
Yeah, man, shoot.
Okay, gear you've sold because
Ooh,
of replaced or upgraded that you wish you kept. That's a good question, actually.
that's a very good question.
Yeah. Oh,
Gear you've sold that you regret. All right. All right. The Come Out Heavy Boys stopped in. Focus Hunting stopped in.
I
Goat
love those
Alliance
guys.
stopped in. This is, yeah, there's actual hunters in the room now instead of just us insta pieces of shit. Hang on. Got to get some hydration.
Now I got to get back into your thing here. There we go.
All right. I got you. We'll get things organized one of these days. All right. Let's just start with a little, okay, because I don't want to get, actually, let's start with your update first, man, and then we'll get into my road trip and all this stuff that's going on. What's been going on for the last month?
Buddy, it feels like it's been the busiest month of hunting without hunting. If that makes any
Really?
sense. Like just like with the all the conservation stuff going on, and with the 7B stuff going on, and just getting ready for bear season. Zero in the rifle. Not that it was off, but you got to check it.
What are you
And
shooting?
300 Win Mag.
Okay.
Yeah.
What kind?
You still got that box of ammo that I need.
I still do.
Yeah.
Luckily for you, it's not going anywhere.
Yeah, there you go. No, it's
I'm
a
not shooting
Tika.
it.
It's a Tika with
It's a Tika.
Zeiss scope on it, and then the
Okay.
Spartan bipod. Right.
Right. It's almost
Oh.
identical to my setup, except different
Scope.
scope.
Yeah. No, I love
Yours
it.
is nicer.
Yeah, I got it last year. It was awesome. So
I love that gun.
I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it.
I tell everybody, if you're looking for, like, I don't think you can beat that Tika for value. I mean, I don't know how you could.
No, it's an awesome gun. I mean, for bang for buck, it's right up there for sure. And then that scope is unreal. I'm loving the scope. So it's a nice.
I love Zeiss Glass. I hate their warranty department.
Yeah, you've had trouble with that spotting scope, eh?
And then get this shit. So I had to send it back. It was like 2 weeks ago. I'm calling and calling and calling. Like, I'm that guy. I'm like, I'm just going to phone every day, multiple times a day, until one of you pricks answers the phone. And finally, I can't get the guys at the extension, the assistant manager who answered my phone calls, and I can't get anybody in the service department to pick up. So finally, like, I'm just going to phone the front desk. And I phone the front desk, and this chick answers the phone. I'm like, listen, I'm not trying to be a dick, but I've phoned your service department multiple times a day, every single day for 2 weeks. I said, no one's ever picked up. I said, is there anybody back there? And she goes, well, I can sure tell you we're paying people to be back there. So you just hang on and I'll get somebody to answer the phone for you.
Receptionist of the year, eh?
Yeah, I was just like, you gangster bitch.
Yeah.
Yes. Fuck you. Get
awesome.
somebody to answer the goddamn phone. And literally like 2 minutes, not even like 2 seconds later, this guy picks up the phone and it's the fucking guy. I can tell by his voice.
Yeah.
He's the guy who I've been phoning for 2 weeks. And he's like, hey, I'm like, hey, this is Jay Nickel, phoning, checking my scope. And he answers a couple like questions for me. And he's like, yeah, I've seen you've been calling. I'm sorry. We're just really busy. And I'm just like, whatever, man. Like, no, you're dodging my shit. Do you know what I mean? Like, just answer the phone. So anyways, I still don't know what's going on with my scope. He was like, I'll phone down and see if I can figure out. And I'm like, I don't get it. You guys broke it in shipping. This should not be a warranty issue. This should be a who's got a brand new one in stock to send this guy because we fucked up issue.
No doubt.
Anyways.
It's one of those things though with like, I mean, there's no excuse, don't get me wrong, but it's like you almost have such a high expectation because hunting companies are so good. Like they're the best. Like
I've had phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like I gotta say this about Vortex. I really don't like their shit, but their warranty department kicks ass.
Yeah, I've know a couple people that I've never had to send anything in, but I know a couple people that have had to send in rifle scopes, binoculars, and they've been
phenomenal service every time.
Yeah.
Quick turnaround. I can always get somebody on the phone. It's been fixed beyond expectations. It always comes back beautiful. Like 5 stars without a doubt. Like, yeah, man, their warranty department is phenomenal. Yeah. Anyways, I don't want to bag on that. Okay, I interrupted. So what else? You got the gun sighted in. So what are the bear plans?
The end of April, I'm going up with a couple guys from work. I think it's gonna be more of a casual trip. I think we're taking quads up. We were gonna go into an area, but one of the guys went up last weekend, and it got washed out. So we're back to the drawing board. But I mean, there's lots of places that we have, and these guys got some experience, so we'll definitely figure that out. Not a big deal. And then my bigger bear hunt trip will be in probably middle of May, later May, middle of May.
Better.
So yeah, it's a little bit better.
You'll have more action then.
Yeah, for sure. So it's more of a. I think there's one of the new guys from work. He's never connected, so I think we'll probably be focusing on him and try and get him on something, which will be fun, anyways. So
sweet.
Yeah, and then with everything going on last month, and my brother-in-law Craig and I have been talking about sheep hunting for the last couple of years. So we've started roughly planning a sheep hunt for next year. So, and I promised myself when I did do that, I would sign up for the Wild Sheep Society of BC. So I signed up as a life member. So I'm pretty happy about that, and I'm excited, and I can't wait to get going with that. So that's pretty exciting.
Good for you, man.
Yeah, it's awesome.
That's really good.
Yeah.
And like, there's so many things out there. I don't think ethically you got to do them all. Yeah. And I think going in big like that on one of them is like a really nice, simple way to just like feel really good that you're doing your part without having to keep track of like 15 different memberships.
No, totally. And I think
you know what I mean?
Yeah. And just with the stuff that's happened over the last month is like, you see who's stepped up big time and who necessarily not, who hasn't, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
But man, those guys do a lot, and it's a great group. Can't say anything bad about them. So I'm super excited to be a lifetime member, and encourage anybody out there that even if you haven't sheep hunted before, which I haven't even sheep hunted before, but I'm planning to, and they do a lot, not just for sheep. They stepped up with this whole thing with the 7B and with the caribou and moose, and they do a lot for conservation in general. So it's a good group.
Yeah, I agree. It is a really good group.
Yeah.
Good on you, man. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to get out for bear. Lander said I could go up there and hang out for a few days if I wanted to. I think I'm going to have to see how the prep goes.
He's got to be pretty he's got to be pretty busy now, eh?
Yeah, he's super busy, but the thing is he can't take his hunters out of his tenure.
Yeah.
And I know some nice spots. Well, he showed me some. I'm not taking any credit for it. Yeah. He showed me some nice spots that are out of his tenure, so I can go up there and stay at his place, and then just go hunt other areas, and then it doesn't impact, like, significantly far away.
Yeah, it doesn't.
It doesn't impact his hunters
at
all. Still, I feel a little. The guy's got a lot on his plate. He doesn't really need one more body kicking around.
Yeah.
And I'll see how prep goes. I was kind of losing my shit for a couple weeks with the calories being so low. Like, it was like pretty severe depression and anxiety. Like, I can't explain it. Just, yeah, man, I was having a hard time like doing anything. There's a week of work that I don't really think I did anything at all. I can't.
Are you still doing like as intensive workouts in the gym as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that's tough. I mean, when you start cutting down, and then you're still trying to push through, it's
I'm on like 100 grams of carbs right now, and I've been doing that for the last 4 weeks. So it's like I get a little like thing of this like rice, like that.
And what's your weight at right now?
This morning I was 246.
Oh, so you've come down quite a bit already.
I've dropped 25 pounds.
Oh, nice. So it's coming.
Yeah. It's coming.
What do you want to get down to?
I don't like the number. It's not that. It's just like
looks.
How low do I need to go to look the way I need to look? Yeah. And the higher that number is, the better, because the bigger I'll be.
Yeah.
I originally thought I was going to shoot, if I was north of 200 pounds, I was going to be happy. And that would have meant losing 71 pounds.
Wow.
But I think I'm actually feeling a little more confident now, because I'm still so heavy. I thought I would be lighter at this point, and I've already lost a significant amount of weight, and I'm leaner now than I thought I was going to be at this point. So now my guess is 212 on stage. And I think I'll probably be like my all-time low will be somewhere around like 205 or 206 during peak week. And then by the time I carb up and get on stage,
So
like
what
212.
and what class are you going into?
Yeah, these are really interesting questions. So they're kind of condensed classes this year because COVID dropped attendance pretty significantly
Yeah.
over the couple of years. So the last few shows, instead of having like 7 or 8 bodybuilding classes, they've condensed them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's only lightweight, middleweight, and heavyweight. And heavyweight is 187 pounds and up.
Yeah.
And normally there would be like super heavy and then something else. So I might even be able, like if I got down sub 210, I might even be able to be like not with the super heavies,
Yeah.
but I'll be everybody north of 100. So I'm in 4 categories. I'm in masters, 40 plus. Oh, they want me to tell the elk hunting story, the bad hunting guy. I'll totally tell that story. I literally threatened to throw a guy off a cliff. I'll tell that story. Um, I'm in masters, 40 plus bodybuilding. And so that's just anybody over 40, regardless of weight class, goes in a division. There's also over 50 plus, and I think normally they collapse those two if there's not enough dudes. And then I'm in masters, open, adults, heavyweight. And so that's where all like the fucking big boys.
Yeah.
And I could just get crushed. Like
Oh yeah, if you're
there
210,
could be like 26-year-old juice monkeys that are like 250. I mean, who knows?
yeah.
Now it's a regional show, so you're not going to see like pro athletes, but it is very possible that there will be legitimate monsters in that class. But either
There'll be some
way,
good boys, yeah, for sure.
yep. And then I'm also doing classic physique because I can fit into the weight class. And classic physique also has a master's. And then they also have in classic physique, your weight allowance is tied to your height.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm in class B, which is between 6'1" and 6 foot and 6'1". And I think I'm actually 6'1" and a little bit over, but I'm going to be conservative and just say I'm in the lower one for weight class, and I'm allowed to be up to 220 pounds to be in that weight class.
Okay, so you're good there. You
I
will
should
be.
be.
You
There's
should
like
be.
I definitely will lose another 25 pounds.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely, no problem. And they both have slightly different, not like rules per se. Oh, did I lose you off Zoom? You should be able to use the same link to join back in. Slight technical difficulty, everybody. Greg's going to work on getting back in. While he's doing that, Thomas asked, how long is the bear season in BC? We have 2 bear seasons. It depends on the region, it depends on the area, but most places have a 3-month bear season that goes from April 1st to June 30th. Or is it only the first 2 weeks of June? I think it's April 1st to June 30th. I would have to check my regs. I think it's 3 months, and then in the fall you get another 2 months, I think. Again, I'd have to look at it. I've never hunted bear in the fall because there's other shit to hunt, and they don't tend to taste as good in the fall because there's a greater chance you're going to be eating bear that have been eating, dead fish and shit. Whereas that's less likely in
There
the
you go.
spring.
Sorry, dude. It's like an
It's all good.
advertisement just kicked up. It's like closed and I got a Zoom advertisement.
It's 3-month spring bear season. Is it April 1st to June 30th?
April 1st to June 30th. Yeah.
And then, I guess in the fall is just a couple months. I've never even hunted bear in the fall.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's this like September 1st. It starts with mule deer, or maybe it's September 10th. I'm not exactly sure. Yeah, I know it's open until I think December.
No, it's not in December.
No, it's not that long. I'm not exactly sure. Yeah, I know it's open September,
Anyways,
October, I think. And it doesn't matter.
For purposes of this, because it's different in every area, I think a general understanding of bear seasons in BC would be a 3-month spring season and a 2-month fall season. And if I'm totally out to lunch on that, somebody can hit me up in the comments. And then Senor Hectic a while ago asked this question. We kind of glossed over it. He says, "Hey boys, what's your thoughts on Australia not having a deer season? Do you think we should embrace deer now that they are here in great numbers, or do you think that we should manage them for hunters?" Okay, so he must be in Australia, and when he says, "Do you think we should embrace deer now that they are here?" he must mean here in Australia. Hang on, I'm going to see if he's.
Yeah, that's probably what I think. That's what he was assuming.
Okay, perfect.
Here, I got
It's
that
a very
black.
interesting question because even in North America, for non-native animals like invasive species, what the fuck? What's
This is.
going on tonight, man?
Oh, did it go down again?
No, that was my camera just shit the bed for some reason, but we're fine now. So even in North America, there does not tend to be game what's the seasons for non-native species. Okay. So like in Hawaii, there's no seasons for most of those animals. You just go over and buy a hunting license and you can just kill deer and you can just kill goats and shit because they're all invasive species. If you're in Texas, unless you're hunting whitetail, mule deer, what else? What else they got seasons for in Texas? But like even elk is a non-native species in Texas, even though that's a bit of a weird situation because it was part of their natural range. There's no tags for elk. It's treated as like it's like when you go to hunt aoudad, you don't need a tag to kill an aoudad in Texas. You could literally go there and shoot 150 aoudad. And that's not, as long as you have a hunting license, you can do whatever you want. Same as black buck, axis, kudu, like all those weird invasive species. So I think the question is, should you have hunting seasons for non-native animals? What are your thoughts?
Well, it'd be up to how much damage the animals are doing, I guess. Like, it'd be all in conservation wise, and how they got there. Like, you take Maui for example,
Yeah.
and I don't even think there's a closed season on access deer or,
No.
It's a goat, right? A goat.
There's lots of goats.
Yeah, so I don't even think there's a closed season. There's just a better season.
Yeah.
Like they call it. So, I mean, for there, I mean, there's so many of them that they need them gone. So they encourage people to come and hunt there. So in that case, yeah, I mean, it should be open. If it's same thing in Texas with hogs and stuff, I mean, it's pretty much a tourist attraction to go in a helicopter and shoot hogs. So I mean, I don't think there's a close there either, except probably in the winter. But yeah, that black bear thing is a bunch of people commented, and I also looked it up. But for like say Region 3, it's pretty roughly September 1st to November 30th. Just side note.
Okay, perfect. So 3 months for most places in BC, it's going to be 3 months in the spring and 3 months in the fall.
Yeah.
So I want to address another angle of this question because I think it's a very interesting topic for discussion. A properly managed, oh, thanks for kicking in, RKAZ. So Rio Grande turkeys aren't native to Arizona, but we have hunts for them. So I think I was probably speaking a little bit too widely in absolutes. I'm sure there are other examples like he's mentioning. So let me rephrase and just say that as a general rule, most non-natives don't have hunting seasons and they're treated as an invasive species. Now, my question is because nobody's making money off of deer hunting in Australia. Therefore, there's no money to do anything about deer hunting in Australia. or any of the money that does get put into deer hunting in Australia has to come from other sources, like from taxpayers' coffers that would have been put to other public use. So my question would be, if there's enough interest in it, does it make sense to monetize that practice so that it could be a self-sustaining financial practice? Now, the other thing about Australia is they don't have a public land system like we do here. So you can't, most people who are hunting in Australia are doing it on permission-based lands. So that also makes it really tricky as well, because even if you had a tag system, if that doesn't enable you, if you don't already have permission to go to hunt someplace, it doesn't really do you any good to have the tag in your pocket. So that's another wrinkle in the conversation. Is there a point in having managed systems without substantial access to public land? Thoughts?
I mean, that's a tough one. I mean, I'm so far with my thoughts towards just being able to keep hunting on crown land right now.
I know. They're trying to take our shit away, and we've got public land.
Yeah, I'm so far off from like thinking about that, but yeah, I mean, it's something definitely to put forward. I mean, you got to talk to, I guess down there, you'd have to talk to like governors and get involved with the politics of it.
Yeah, and the reason I think it's an interesting topic for discussion is that in a lot of ways, it kinda is like a hunter's paradise right now.
It's okay.
In Australia, if you have connections for land, kind of like New Zealand is the same way, because you can literally go and hunt as much as you want, anytime you want, for as many animals as you want. Now, that only works when there's an abundance of game and scarce pressure.
Yeah.
And as soon as the equation flips and you got more people than animals, and you're trying to actually protect and conserve those animals, then you're fucked.
Yeah. I mean, it's so far from what we have here, because
Yeah.
people, you could own 100 hectares here, like Gang Ranch. And just because you own, say, Gang Ranch, you couldn't go out and shoot 100 mule deer.
No.
So I mean, it's so far from what we're used to, then it's hard for me. Like, obviously, like if they're invasive and there's like you said, like, a gross abundance of them, then yeah, I mean, I don't think that there should be a problem with giving her. But I think there should be still tags or whatever, so at least there's money going towards conservation if your government puts the money towards conservation.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, man. Different cultures. And it's like we kind of have like Aldo Leopold and a whole bunch of like kind of founders, and Teddy Roosevelt, founders of the North American model of conservation. We have them to thank for the roots of the system that's in place that kind of governs. I don't think we realize how lucky we are. But also kind of recently in BC, I've kind of had a bit of a wake-up call with kind of what an illusion all the things that I thought were rights were.
Yeah, definitely.
And it turns out there is no, rights, really.
No.
It's a bit of an illusion that apparently they can just take the shit away whenever they want.
Yeah. That was one thing. I was listening to a podcast with I can't remember last week, but they also mentioned it in the new Talk is Sheep came out with a podcast with Randy Newberg.
Yeah.
I actually listened to it today, and they were talking about conservation and stuff. Do you think in like Montana and Wyoming and some of those states where they were so close to losing some species of animal, and they kind of got their act together, do you think that's why they're so much better with conservation than we are?
No. This is everything. I've spoken about this at length. Okay, yeah. And I'm going to give an analogous argument: the forestry industry. So British Columbia, you would think, would be a global leader in forestry. We are not.
No.
We are like double digits down the rankings in how fucking terrible we are at managing forests. And I was in forestry for 15 years, so it put food on my table and clothes on my kids. So I'm not saying I'm anti-logging. I am very pro-logging. But we use like antiquated methods from the 70s with old equipment and out-of-date techniques. Like it's when you show like Europeans and people from New Zealand the way we log in British Columbia, they're like aghast. They're like, it would be like taking your dad, from the 70s and dropping him off in a shopping mall today. Like he would just be out of his league. And the reason is, I think we're too fat and lazy. We have so much timber that people are just like, just, you know what I mean? Fat, lazy, log it. And I think it's been the exact same issue. I was just having this conversation with Rich, Cody Rich, when I interviewed him on my podcast. And I said to him, I think because so many species were on the brink of extinction or extirpation in different regions in the United States, and that's still part of your cultural memory.
Yeah.
So you had to work so hard and spend so much money to bring those species back that they treat all that shit with kid gloves. Like the amount of effort and money that is spent on wildlife conservation in the States blows, like it's disgusting. Like it's not even 1/10 of that here.
Oh no, that was one thing I wanted to touch on too. Was that I want to go back to the forestry thing for one sec, just before we move. The forestry thing, like in so many areas that I've been to, that like you go through, like whether it's hunting or just hiking or up on my cabin where we go up quadding, these forestry companies, and I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure the forestry companies are responsible for what they leave behind. They make these big burn piles or all this downfall, and nobody comes and cleans it up. And it's like, it's just a mess. And then, whether it just sits there forever and it doesn't get burned, where if it does get burned in a proper way, it allows nutrients to come back to the grounds. And that's a clear fact of like, fresh burns are better for conservation. And
for sure.
That's proven. But it just sits there, and whether somebody's getting paid and nobody comes back and checks, but these companies got to be held accountable for cleaning up their mess.
And there are some intricacies there, like slash piles need to be left for so long. You can't burn those things like the same season that you log them. You need to leave them for a couple years to dry out. So there are some contributing factors. But that being said, in general, like routine maintenance, like road maintenance is not up there. It's roads are their responsibility as well. When you run a TFL, road maintenance is not where it should be. Block maintenance is not where it should be. While you're logging, you're kind of constrained. There's like certain waste parameters as far as what you're allowed to leave on the ground. Because some wood, it's actually cheaper to leave it on the ground and take the fine for waste than it is to log it, because it's worth so little money that if you actually start putting it on a truck, it's costing you more money. So logging companies are constantly playing that game. And you'll see those blocks that you go to and you're like, this place just looks like a shit show.
Been like 6 years of the same thing and nobody's
crazy. Like it's just garbage laying everywhere. It's like, did they even take any timber out of here? And that's exactly what I'm talking about. When you go to places like Europe and you go to places like New Zealand, and even in Australia, I lived in Australia for 2 years. I ran tree planting operations for a company. So I've literally planted 5 million trees in Australia. I know the Australian logging system quite well. Because it's so much more intentional and they don't have these never-ending tracks of infinite forests, everybody's like way more precise about how it gets done. Like some of the wood we got here, like those old growth cedar forests, if you knew how much money some of those blocks were, like it's like oil. Like it's insane how much money is coming out. Like, anyways, I'm not going to go on about it, but I do feel very strongly that we approach BC hunting in the same way. And I don't want to like be divisive, but I feel like every time I bring this up, any of like the old school BC hunters start shitting on the idea that maybe we need to revamp elements of our system. Like maybe $20 over-the-counter tags for every single animal that's running around our province is not the most responsible way to manage wildlife. And maybe if we were open to spending a little more. Now, if I was going to play devil's advocate, I'm already going to say I don't really have a whole lot of faith in the current system. You know, they're screwing things up so badly. I don't want to give them more money. It'd be like throwing good money after
No,
bad.
but let's get into that for a second. About
Yeah.
like that's a great point, because that's actually something that I wrote down here, because I was gonna, go off on a tangent eventually here. But
Yeah, please.
I'll go off.
I don't want to be the only one that everybody hates at the end of this podcast.
Exactly. No, but like, the money that we pay for tags, I could be wrong with the statistics of it, but I heard it was like between $30 and $40 million come in from tags. That's the money
Do you
that's
think
brought
it's
in
that
for them.
high?
That's what I heard it was. It's between 30 and 40 million for tags. Maybe that's including like guides and stuff like that. It could possibly be. I could be wrong if you Google it maybe. But it's gotta be quite a bit. Anyways, but
either way, let's assume it's a lot of money.
Either way. There's a significant amount of money that is not obviously going back to conservation. Like, I think we're only getting like maybe 10% back to go into conversation.
I think you're right. I don't think there's any laws in Canada or in BC specifically that state that. So here's the thing. I found how many license sales there were. I don't think there's any laws in British Columbia stating that funds generated from hunting have to be spent on wildlife conservation.
There isn't. It doesn't go back in. It doesn't go back into the same pot.
It certainly doesn't have to.
I know that for sure. But the numbers I did hear was $30-40 million is brought in from hunting, whether it's from tags or just hunting in general, into BC, and the government only contributes about $3 to $4 million for conservation. But
so
I mean that was on through another podcast. So
wow, get this, man. So in January, February, and March 2019, there were 9,000 hunting licenses sold.
There you go.
During that same time period in 2020, 18,000. It doubled.
Wow.
So because of COVID, twice as many people bought a hunting license. And what's a hunting license cost? It's only like, is it $50? Is it $20? I don't even know. I literally go when I buy my hunting license,
is that
and I buy license? All of my tags online at once, and I just pay a flat fee. Let's say it's 35.
I think it's
what's 18?
Something like that.
Yeah, well, that's not that much money. That's only $630,000. I don't think it can be 30 or 40 million, because if there's only, let's say, how many licensed hunters are there in BC? This would say only, maybe 30,000 or something. If they're only selling 20,000 licenses in the first quarter of the year. Anyways.
Yeah, I could be wrong. Could be wrong.
You know what we should do, man? Because I think this is a deeper topic. Let's press pause on this. Let's actually do some homework. And then in a future episode, let's do a deep dive on this.
Yeah.
Where we can actually bring some data to the table about how much revenue license sales generates, where that money actually goes. I can try and even get an interview with somebody that could, we could get some information, because I don't want to sound, I don't want to be responsible for starting rumors or going off half-cocked.
Yeah.
But I think the general idea that more of the funds generated by hunting should have to stay focused on hunting, I don't think anybody's going to argue with that.
No, and that's the reason. That's the whole point of if you raise the I have no problem paying more for for a deer tag or for a sheep tag or whatever.
Yeah.
Like ours is so cheap compared relative to the States. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But if you're going to pay more, the money has to go back
Yes.
into it. And then at the same time, with our government, they have to follow the science behind it as well. But
Yeah.
that's getting into the whole nother tangent of the same thing that we've dealt with for the last month. So
Yeah, man.
let's not go there. But yeah, no, but no, we should definitely do that. I'd be interested to know. I mean, those are just numbers that I heard off others. So I mean, it could be the whole hunting industry as a whole in BC, and that's what comes in. But I'm not exactly sure. Well, I know the grizzly bears was quite a bit of money that the guides lost
Oh, I
from
guarantee.
grizzly bears. So
Now, non-residents, yeah, that one I don't know. I don't think a lot of actual residents were hunting grizzlies,
no,
just because
no,
that's a weird one for most people.
yeah,
But I know um, entire guide outfits went under or
yeah.
lost, a vast percentage of their gross annual revenue because of that. Like that's the messed up thing about being in this space, man, is that you're just a victim of whatever regulation they pass.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, the whole thing is crazy, but I mean, shout out to like all you guys that are doing the podcast that kind of came together there and really got the word out and like Tyler from Wilderness Locals and Tanner from the
Yeah.
Frontiersman.
Yeah, man, he
Man,
got
they
pissed.
just
That
pushed
dude
it.
was in
No,
it.
but everybody though, the coming out hard boys and like it was all those guys, all you guys
Coming
just
out
came
hard,
together,
coming out heavy, but
coming out
close.
heavy, coming out hard. Uh, they do come out hard though.
Yeah, they do. They
They
do.
do. I like it. It's a different take on podcasting for sure. I like it a lot. It's definitely entertaining for sure. But yeah, the Wild Sheep Society. John Barklow donated a bunch to the raffle that
Yeah,
or to the giveaway that Tyler had. So that was pretty awesome of him. And
he's a good guy, man.
Howell was unbelievable. Came out with
Yeah.
the whole setup there for that was pretty cool. But
Now we
yeah.
just all sitting on the edge of our seats and see what happens.
Yeah, yeah, no, but
All
that's the
right.
thing too is that like we weren't ready for the grizzly bear. It kind of caught us sideways, and then this um, definitely was a surprise as well. They kind of tried to backdoor it a little bit, I would say. So we got to
Yeah,
start
I'd say so.
we got to stop fighting each other and just come together and really be ready and just come as a unit. And the amount of people that came out for this, it was great, but there should have been way, way more people. For the amount of people that are out there hunting on the weekend and you see driving around, people just didn't continue just not to show up.
I also think there's a whole generation of BC hunters that has no presence on social media. And there was no like advertising campaign, like legitimate mainstream media advertising campaign that any of this shit was going on. So if you weren't on Instagram seeing people's posts and stories, how would you even know? Or if
Exactly.
you went and checked, like I never got any email or like a notification that new regulations were up. Like you literally had to go to the website and check yourself. And I'm not saying that shouldn't be one of our responsibilities as hunters, but come on, man. Let's be honest. I mean, for most things that we're going to, that significantly impact the public, you would think it's your responsibility to broadcast that to, the general public. Anyways, I don't want to beat a dead horse
No, for sure.
because we have talked about this a lot lately and it's kind of out of our hands now. But I do think the general principle that we not need to stay more involved is a good thing to consistently remind ourselves of.
Definitely.
You're 100% right on that.
Yeah.
Okay, questions are stacking up, so I'm just going to clear out a couple of them. Thomas says, why did they get rid of the grizzly hunt? It was 100% a political response. So in the regulations, it was actually called a trophy grizzly hunt. So I forget what they're called, the Western Law Center or something like that. They're one of these like kind of like like quasi anti-hunting, blanketed as an environmentalist group with ties to like Patagonia and all the rest of them, and they're funded to basically just go around to places and try and get rid of hunting rights. There's also, what was it? The rain shit. I should know more about this. It's either the Rain Coast Alliance, it's something like that. They were the ones who spearheaded it. And it was essentially very easy to do because, again, people think actions like this happen by referendum, and they don't. So if you can convince the ministry to remove a grizzly hunt because it offends people's sensibilities, then they just get rid of it. They don't have to get a vote. They don't have to get permission. They don't have to do anything. It's just gone. And that's what happened with the grizzly hunt. They just, enough people said we shouldn't have one. They sunk a shitload of money into lobby groups. And I would say when they got rid of the grizzly hunt, the kind of cooperation and communication between the different hunting organizations was much weaker than it is now. That's why we had such a stronger response to the issues up in 7B, because it was very easy for everybody to talk to each other and everybody to support each other and everybody to put out a concerted effort, and that didn't happen in the grizzly bear hunt. So the grizzly bear hunt got removed, and unfortunately, in systems like this, you rarely get back what you lose. Like once it's gone, it's a lot easier for them to just leave it gone than it is for you to fight to get it back. And then somebody says, how many animals have you shot with my compound bow, and can I list them? 2 black bears, 2 ibex goats, 1 elk,
Arizona mule deer.
an air. How the fuck do I forget that? That was like my crowning achievement as an archer.
That was pretty
55
nice
yards,
deer.
12
Yeah,
ring,
nice
and
deer.
he's a crazy looking deer.
Yeah, he's sick.
A mule deer in Arizona. I've winged a couple javelina, but I've never been able to put one down. They're just little footballs. They're hard to hit, the little bastards. I'm trying to think. What else? I feel like there might be 1 or 2 that I'm missing. Oh yeah, somebody says the ibex is nice. Here's the ibex. That's him right up there on the wall. And I shot a second one. That's on Maui. You want to talk about hunting on Maui? That ibex is from Maui. For the people listening on YouTube, I was pointing it on the wall. And then he wanted me to shoot more because they're a pest and they're everywhere. So as we're walking back to the truck, he's like, if you get oh yeah, I shot a white-tailed doe this year. That's right. You gotta love, you're doing something right when you forget about some of the animals that you kill.
Yeah.
I have not shot a coos deer with my bow. I've gone coos deer hunting twice. One time I failed to kill anything, and the second time I killed a mule deer. And now that the border is back open, coos deer is 100% back on the menu. One of my favorite hunts in the world, man.
Well, you went down there. You went down there to Coos Deer, and you end up. Was it AZO, right? AZO you went with the outfitter?
ATO.
ATO
Yes.
went. And they had the mule deer spotted, right? Yeah.
Yeah. My buddy who guided me the year before texted me that night, or no, the day before I left. He's like, dude, I know you really want to kill a coos deer, but I've been seeing this giant mule deer bouncing around all week. Do you want to go after him when you get down here? I was like,
he's got a good YouTube channel.
Yeah, Tim?
Yeah.
Tim's the best, man.
Yeah, he's awesome. Yeah.
Chad's the one I go with when I'm down there, my guide. He's a character. But yeah, so I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 animals. I've taken with my bow, probably taken 15 or 20 with the rifle, something like that. Um, yeah. And then, listen, I will give the quick version of the shitty elk hunting story. So what happened was, it was like my second or third year hunting elk, and I got my ass kicked the first couple of years. So I'm like, I'm just gonna go guided. I don't know what I'm doing. I need some help. So I hooked up, and I'll name the outfit because I don't want anybody to ever. It was Cody Carr's, um, like Cody Carr's hunting something something out. I think it was like near Kalispell. Like it was just across the Panhandle in, or maybe it was like Whitefish. Son of a bitch, man. Hang on. I got to look this up. If I'm going to put somebody on blast, I better do it right. I'll probably get in shit with this, but whatever, who cares? At least it won't be like Lathrop and Sons when they threaten to sue me. Idiots. Oh, maybe he sold it. Is it Wayne Hill Outfitting now? Huh. Maybe he sold it. Let me see where this is. Yeah, it's near like Clark's, Thompson Falls. It's like just over the border from Spokane. I'm trying to look. It's in that, I think it's Region 1 or 100 in Montana. So it's kind of like the north western. It's in the Kootenays. Their Kootenays, not our Kootenays. Sorry, the northeastern corner of Montana. So anyways, back to, so I booked this thing and I tell buddy on the phone, I'm like, listen, I kind of want to hunt hardcore. I want to go in the backcountry. Do you got somebody that can like fucking go flat out? My fault for not doing enough research. He's like, yeah, no problem. It'll be great. And it was one of these, it was just like a Zeiss spotting scope, man. As soon as they got your money, they never answered the phone. And I never really talked to the guy much after that. And then I went hunting. I showed up and there was, I think, 16 hunters in camp. And I'm like, what the fuck? I mean, how are we all supposed to get an elk? But anyways, you don't realize what a gong show some of these big American outfits are like. And a lot of these like richer businessmen guys, like half of them are there to hunt and half of them are there to just like fuck around, which kind of works out for the guys who are there to hunt because they don't care as much. But the dudes who are serious are definitely very serious. But anyways, so we get there and he pairs me up. We're going to go 2-on-1. So 2 guides, one hunter. And he pairs me up with this guy from Washington, who's Tom, who's still a buddy to today. Weird tangent. I shot that ibex in Maui, and I texted my buddy Tom. I'm like, Tom, I just smoked an ibex in Maui, and he's like, are you in Maui right now? And I'm like, yeah, I'm at the Four Seasons. And he's like, I'm just down the street. And I literally took my kid, and we went and played with his kids like 20 minutes after I texted them, and I killed this goat.
Small world.
Yeah, super random. Anyways, so he pairs me up with this guy, Tom. He's awesome. We get along right out of the gate. And then he puts us with this 24-year-old guy from Kansas who's been in Montana for 2 years. And I'm just like, what the fuck, man? Because I don't know if you've listened to, I'm sure you've listened to The Meat Eater, but like in my mind, when I was going on a guided hunt, I was going to go find Buck Bowden. Like there was going to be this like epic, Jeremiah Johnson looking motherfucker. He was going to like have been in the bush for 40 years and it was going to be amazing. And he was going to know all these things and I was going to learn from him. And then I get there, my guide's 24 years old. That's the other thing you come to realize once you go on a couple guided hunts. A lot of guides are just kind of babysitters and they're not necessarily great hunters, which is why I think it's really, really important to have firsthand references when you're booking a hunt. Because the discrepancy between skill levels of guides is insane. Like there's guys who are absolute morons, and then there's like guys that are just so impressive, and they're just like, guys like Clay Lancaster, and even like some of the guys I've talked to on the podcast, like, guys like Nathan French, he's taking it out a bunch of sheep. Look at Harder. That dude is a legend. Look at, Lander. Like so anyways, he sticks us with this 24-year-old dude. And this guy like runs us into the ground for the first, like, it's a 7-day hunt for like the first 4 days. And we see nothing. And then it was like morning of day 5. We're in the middle of nowhere. There's no sign. We've never heard a bugle. There's nothing. And he points off the side of a cliff, like basically. And he's like, I want you guys to climb down there about 100 yards and sit there. And I'm going to stand up here and call. And we'll do a spot, and we'll like a stand, and we'll see what we can
drum up.
And like, yeah, and I'm sitting down there for half an hour, and then I'm finally like, and I'm looking over at my buddy, and I'm just getting madder and madder and madder. And I'm like, this is the dumbest shit. I'm like, there's nothing here, man. And it's like, now that I actually know how to hunt elk, this guy is such a moron. So it turned out that I think what happened was, because we were both, some guides are hesitant to take the younger, fitter, more ambitious guys to their honey holes, because there's some assholes out there who are going to pay for a guide 1 year and then go back to that guide's spots the second year. Because you can do that in a place like Montana. Whereas in BC, when the guys come up from down south, you can take them anywhere you want because they can't come back here and hunt without you.
Well, sorry, a lot of BC guides won't take.
They will not take. They won't take guys from BC, and it's like, I get it because people bite spots.
Yeah.
And anyways, it turned out, because he had seen us taking spots on Onyx. So this guy literally comes out. I stomp up the hill after a few minutes. And I'm like, this is fucking bullshit. And I start doing my J thing. Like, I'm pretty calm, but when I lose my shit, it's fucking, I normally feel really bad afterwards because I like lose it. So I start losing it on this kid. And I'm like, what the fuck are we doing here? Do you know what I mean? Like, there's got to be a place where actual elk are. And he starts saying, oh, I can't take you to my spots because you guys keep taking points on your Onyx. And that's when I lost it. I'm like, motherfucker, you haven't provided me one map since we got here. You never tell me anything about where we're going or what we're doing. I'm like, what if you just died? What if you fell off a fucking cliff? How do you expect me to get back to the truck? And so I launch on this big tirade. I threaten to literally throw him off the fucking cliff. He's terrified. He goes white. My buddy is like, dude, you got to calm the fuck down. And I'm like, the hunt was like $6,500, and I was like blown away that I'd spent $6,500. I could do 10 DIY hunts for that. Yeah. So I am literally losing my shit. And finally, he phones Cody on this, like the sat phone or something. And he's like, this guy's going to kill me. He's really pissed off and all this stuff. And finally, I get on the phone with Cody, and I'm like, the fuck, man? It's enough of this bullshit. Take us where the elk are. And my buddy had gotten so fed up, he went back to camp that night and went home. Oh. He's like, this is bullshit. He's like, I can go back and hunt a November tag later in the winter. It's just across the border for me. I'm not doing this nonsense. And then the next 2 days, we go to like the fucking holy land of elk. And I'm just like, this was here the whole time. And you didn't bring us here. Like, we showed up, and it was like, that was the first time. Like, people in BC don't really get it. They do, because there are some areas that have been like heavily trampled by elk. But I mean, I've been places in Montana and Wyoming and New Mexico. When you go to a place, it is just like eviscerated with elk sign. Like, the ground is like churned up. It looks like a herd of elephants walked through there. Like, rubs everywhere, shit everywhere, stinky elk piss everywhere. Like you're looking at a fucking war zone, and then you're like, and you bugle and like 3 of them pop off, and you're just like, holy shit. Like it's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
And that's what this place was like, where he takes us for the last 2 days. And I'm like, I did, and that's when the whole thing came out that they were worried we were going to take a spot. So I think Cody had actually told him, don't take these guys over to there if you don't have to. So he'd been kind of like, that's the other thing guides will do is they'll try and run you into the ground first to tire you out. So then you're not as pissed off when they don't take you to the good stuff, because really you'd just rather sit at camp. But it was like, I don't get run into the ground more.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm going on a long rant now, but that was my elk hunting guiding horror story. And I've never gone on a guided elk hunt since, and I don't see why I ever would, unless, if there was like some fortuitous thing where I got invited or something like that, maybe I would. Or I know a couple guys I've thought about it in Arizona, because I have a couple really close friends who guide in Arizona, and it takes like maybe 15 years for a non-resident to draw a competitive elk tag in Arizona. And if you know what you're doing, you could bring home a 400-inch bull from Arizona.
Wow.
So maybe I would hire a guide at that point, because it would be more like a scouting buddy than like a guided hunt trip.
Yeah.
But it was a terrible experience.
Do you think a lot of, with hunting becoming more like social media more popular, like just like you said, with the number of hunting licenses that were bought from 2019 to 2020, even, right? That's just in BC.
Yeah.
Even over the States, it's got to be way more than that.
Yeah.
Do you think a lot of these, guide services and stuff like that have upper hand with some people? Do you think a lot of people get taken?
I think,
Not
like
that you'd
any,
want to think about that, but like
no, but like any
people
businessman,
paying this massive money, and they don't have a
yeah.
connection, and they go down somewhere or come up somewhere, and well, you just hike around for a few days.
Yeah.
I've
added it all up, and I'm 50-50
Yeah.
with guided experiences. I'm like almost exactly, I've had 50% like quality interactions, and I'm not talking 50% success rate. Like I'm not even,
Yeah,
I'm not even bringing, 50% of the time I have a really great experience. And sometimes you got no choice. Like when you want to go to a place like Hawaii or like Alaska, Canadians aren't allowed to hunt in Alaska without a guide.
Yeah.
So there are some places that I want to go and hunt that I'm going to have no choice but to have a guide.
Mhm.
50% of the time I end up meeting somebody that I want to give a really quick shout out. A gentleman named Derek Gray just hopped in the chat, and he's the chef for a restaurant called Row 14 out in the Okanagan. And I think they're not open yet, I don't think, but they'll be opening up for their summer season soon. I haven't had a chance to go yet, but he takes the whole like local culinary experience to a whole new level from following him and knowing some of the people who he is in his circle. So if anybody happens to find their way out there, it's close to a Soyuz, kind of this side of a Soyuz by maybe like half an hour, I think. And it's called Row 14. And it's one of those like places that's in a combination like winery restaurant that's kind of in that scene. But yeah, support that man. He's a hunter just like us. And I almost had a chance to get out there last summer, and it kind of fell through last minute. But it's I've already told my wife that's one of our like summer trips. I want to get out there and check out that restaurant. But just a quick little plug. Got to support the people who support our community. And he just got his first bow this year, so fingers crossed. He takes his bear with his bow this bow season if he gets out.
Awesome.
Anyways, yeah, I do think it is quite realistic to assume that with the influx of new hunters who don't have as many connections within the industry, like it's a very segmented space, man. Like it is very, very hard to like go to a new spot and get to find a guide and feel comfortable booking somebody. Like I decided I was going to book a whitetail hunt in Alberta. And like I'm just, I looked around at a lot of places. I phoned a lot of people. I had a lot of personal recommendations. I'm going with a guy who's hunted with a friend of mine, and it's a firsthand reference, but there's still a little voice in the back of your mind when you're like, shit, man, I don't know. I don't know. It might be great. It might not be great. You just don't know. So, yeah, I think it's a little bit of a gamble. Like, yeah, man, I think there's lots of chances to end up with a shyster. But there's lots of great ones too. And that's why I would say, like, the ultimate kind of thing that you're the holy grail is a personal reference. Somebody who has hunted with them that doesn't have a vested interest in the operation. I probably wouldn't book a hunting guide anymore without that. I want to speak to somebody, and not even necessarily somebody, because they'll give you references, but then it's like, are they just cherry picking the couple that have had a good time and come back? Or like, are there 10 disgruntled guys for every one happy guy? Like, anyways, I don't know. I don't want to shit on them either. Like, I think guides having a guiding based system is one of the reasons. Like, a lot of the rights we still have in BC, I think you can give a lot of credit to the GOA association, because they were more organized, better and earlier on, and had more money than a lot of the resident hunters were. So they're an ally as far as I'm concerned. In general, I heavily support guides.
Definitely.
And I think the more of them that I know in BC are like really good guys. Like I've had lots of them on the podcast. Clay, Nolan, Jeff, like these are all stand up dudes. So I don't want to make it seem like they're a bunch of shitheads. I think they're a vital part of the hunting community. It's like anything in life, man. You got to take the good with the bad. A couple more quick questions popped up. Is it bow only in Maui? No, it's not. You can do anything you want in Maui. And in fact, if you've heard of Tim Ferriss's company, Maui Nui, they kill all their venison, their axis bucks, with night scopes. So yeah,
I haven't even seen that.
You murk the motherfuckers. Yeah, from like half mile away, bro. Just yeah, that would be pretty fun. When I had my buddy Sean Curran on the podcast, he lives in Maui. He's a stud, man. And he's done some night shooting for axis buck. He's like, it's pretty badass.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. So you can do whatever you want in Maui. It's private land. And again, they're an invasive species. They're a non-native. So you can, as long as you have a hunting license, do whatever you want. I also want to mention, because I kind of use this as clickbait, I'm driving to Oregon tomorrow to buy a new bow. I'm going to the bow rack, and I'm going to do a podcast tomorrow night with Kellen from Inside Out Precision. So I'm going to leave here tomorrow at noon. You should put me in Springfield, right? Yeah, should put me in Springfield at around 7:30, 8 o'clock. I'm going to meet up with Kellen. He's going to give me some coaching on my shit archery mechanics. And then we're going to do a podcast. And then I'm going to hit the hotel. And then I'm going to go in the morning and buy a new bow. So it will either be the RX-7 Ultra or the V3X33. I'm leaning towards the Matthews, but I want to shoot them both, because this is one of the reasons I'm going down there, is that as Canadians, and especially in Vancouver, you don't understand. Most people in the States, they get to go to these bow shops with like hundreds of bows on the wall and take them down and shoot them and like test different setups and find out what they want. And here, 99% of the time, you got to pick something, order it in advance, and then when you show up, hope it's the thing that is right for you. So I'm gonna.
You have a Hoyt now, don't you?
I have a Hoyt.
Okay.
Pro Defiant 34, 80 pounds.
Okay.
Death Dealer, that's his name.
Are you keeping that one?
I'm probably gonna put it up for sale.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're not gonna trade it in?
I don't know, man. It's like a 5-year-old bow. I mean, what are they gonna? I think it would be. I was also thinking maybe I should give it away. Like, what do I don't mean to sound like a dick, but what do I need with $500 or $600? Like, okay, $500 or $600 would be nice, and that's probably all I would get for it. It's a 5 or 6 year old bow. Although I
Yeah.
don't know, man. I could be underestimating it because it's got an Excel AccuTouch sight. Like the sight was $500.
Yeah.
The bow, I think all said and done, was like $3,500 when I put it together, Canadian. Yeah, but I've had it for almost 5 years now. It's the only bow I've ever owned.
There you go. So it's
Every animal I've ever killed
job
with a bow has, yeah. And now that I have my own bow press and I know how to tune it, the thing shoots laser beams. Like I can put a field point and a broadhead on the like exact same point out to 60 yards, no problem. Shoots 580 grain arrows out of an 80-pound bow. It's a cannon. Anyways, gonna go buy a new bow, gonna do some podcasts, and it's like just a Hail Mary mission.
Sweet.
Greg was supposed to come, but I didn't give him enough notice.
It's all right, man. Well, next time.
Yeah.
We'll make it happen. We'll go on another journey somewhere.
Yeah, do a road trip somewhere. Are you going to the outdoor show?
I was thinking about going Friday or Saturday. I might head over there and see what there was. But
fuck, I'm going Sunday.
Right?
It was really the only day that I could get the kid taken care of.
Yeah.
I normally do stuff with her on the afternoons, and then my mom would take her for a few hours on Sunday. So I'm going to drop her off at 10 and go out for a couple hours.
Nice. Yeah. Well, it should be good. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it should be fun.
I think Greg Mikhail?
Yeah.
He's speaking, I think, in the conference thing. So that'd be kind of cool too. So
I should give him a message. See if I can say hello. Anyways, it's getting late, but I feel like we should answer these dudes' questions.
Yeah, we got the trade-in one.
That's funny. Derek played poker with Greg back in the day. Lions Den.
Derek. Oh, Derek Gray. Yeah, that's right. I thought it was the same. I thought it might be the same Derek, but he grew up in Richmond, so I didn't know if it was the Derek. I know it's obviously the same, but I thought, we grew up in Richmond and we used to play poker every night in Buddy's parents' garage.
No way.
Yeah, dude, we used to do it every night for like years. It was pretty sweet. We had like the same crew and just played some cash games. It was a good time.
That's funny.
That's hilarious.
Are you a good poker player?
No. I mean, comparative to some of the guys out there, I'm not good at all. But I have fun. It's fun.
I'm shit.
Yeah, it's
I've
fun.
known some legit players, so I can honestly say I'm shit. Okay. Do you have an answer for the 3 books question?
I do.
All right, because I don't. So I'm really interested to hear yours. So the gentleman's question was 3 books that aren't necessarily hunting books, but they've helped you become a better hunter.
Okay. I guess these are all like the same thing. The David Goggins one would be probably like number 3.
I think you're right on the now you're talking. Yeah.
He's not just because I'm not like the biggest like David Goggins like jump on the bandwagon fan, but like just his story in general is pretty crazy.
Yes.
Like you have a guy that has zero confidence sitting on the couch slamming burgers and big gulps, and he just woke up one morning and decided to be like, fuck it, and just went balls to the wall, maybe to the point where he's gone so crazy that his body's starting to break down on him a little bit. But man, what a crazy intense individual. You got to give him credit for that, for sure.
Yeah.
That would be number 3. Number 2 would be the 7, pretty famous book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, by Stephen Covey. Just a very inspiring kind of like the simplicities of life kind of broken down into like 7 habits, to motivate you into how to be a better person, I guess you would say. I mean, it's more of a personal development book than I'd say a hunting book, but you could break it down to,
I think that's exactly what this guy's trying to get at, because any of those things that better you in those other elements of life. If they make you more successful, you're going to make more money. You make more money, you can go away on more hunting trips. You
Exactly.
can buy more gear. If it's stuff that's going to increase your mental toughness, then you're going to stay out there longer. Like, I think you're on the exact right track. Like, yeah,
Mhm.
okay, directly doesn't improve your hunting acumen, but it does contribute to you being a better hunter.
Yeah, for sure.
100%.
Last one is probably the same kind of basis, but it's the art of not giving a fuck by Mark Manson, and it's just pretty much a great book about the grinding and just getting past the bullshit of life, and not letting negativity or things the way that the way life goes get in your way. But yeah, that's probably one of my favorite books of all time. It's just kind of fuck it, like people are negative, or people that or just the way that life is, and just overcoming it and making time for the things that matter and stuff like that. So definitely.
I love it, man. Um, I don't have a great answer. And I'm gonna pause on this one and I'm gonna revisit it because I do want to give it a really good answer. And I'll be honest about something. So I went back to school and did my MBA. I finished 5 years ago. So I started 7 years ago. And I was a pretty big reader up until that point, and I had to read so much shit for that MBA that it like broke my head for reading. And I haven't read a book for pleasure in the last 5 years. I've listened to some audiobooks, but I haven't actually read a book. And it's one of these things that I really want to work on. But I know if I cast my mind back, I can think of some books that have had a um, an impact. Like, this is going to be a really weird one. What's that one? It's not by Paulo Coelho, because Paulo Coelho wrote The Alchemist. It's a really good book that opens up your mind a lot. But it's the one with the shaman dude, the Mexican guy. And it's not Don Quixote because, oh, we lost Greg again. Anyways, while Greg gets back on so we can like wrap this thing up, I will spend some time on this and I will come up with um, three books that have had an impact on me because they're not going to be recent ones, but it's a worthwhile question, and I think that yeah, it's worth digging into a little bit more. So Derek asks a very oh, here we go. So Derek asked a really interesting question, and he said, "Why would you get a new bow if you can shoot that kind of group?" So curious, trying to get to 100 yards. I mean, this is a very fair question, and I know a lot of guys who upgrade bows every 1 to 2 years, and I'm always kind of surprised. Um, I'm going to give you some actual reasons, but the bottom line is there's finally some bows out that I'm really excited about, and this is definitely a purchase that's more on the frivolous end. Like, if I was penny pinching at this point in my life, I don't need a new bow. I can go kill shit with this bow, no problem. However, this bow is not perfect. It's 80 pounds, which I can pull no problem, but practicing repetitively at 80 pounds does do a number on my shoulder, and I want to drop back down to 70 pounds, and it would cost me about $400 for new limbs to get to 70 pounds. And so if I'm already going to be spending that kind of money, maybe I should just look at getting a new bow. Also, the Pro Defiant 34 is one of the first of the new generation of bows. So it's a fast bow and it's a powerful bow, but it's kind of clunky. Um, the valley's a little bit deep, and like the fall over to the back wall is like there's a lot of like oosh. Um, so it's a very stiff bow. It's not a super quiet bow. It is when you shoot it with a really heavy setup. anyways, I could go on and on about it, but it requires a lot of work to shoot well regularly. And looking at how far bows have come in the last 5 years, that new V3X33 and that RX7 Ultra are insane. Like, they're quiet, they're beautiful, the draw cycle is crazy smooth. Um, and lots of times I use the podcast and the YouTube channel as an excuse to go buy shit because I'll do a review on it, I'll talk about it, and then I can kind of pretend that it was somehow useful to other people. Me
Justify it in
spending
your own
a
mind.
shitload of money. Um, yeah. So that's the fun. It's fun, and I'm excited. And I've always. Here's the other thing. When I bought my Pro Defiant, I have had very, very bad experiences with the bow shops, and I'm not gonna throw them under the bus because other people have had good experiences. So I'm not gonna say that they're shit across the board. But just me personally, I've had very bad experiences, and I've never been able to go to a bow shop with actual professionals who understand the needs of a hunting archer and have a bow like be properly measured and properly set up exactly for me. So everything I've always kind of felt like was bubble gum and duct tape. And then I had to figure it out myself. And I still don't know if I'm really doing things the right way. So it's always been a dream of mine to go to a shop like the Bow Rack and just get the professionals to do it right and then be very confident in my setup. Um, Derek says, "What's your one species that you enjoy taking with the bow?" I enjoy them all. Here's what I will say: there is no contest to the level of intimacy you feel when shooting something with a bow, in contrast to shooting with a rifle. And I don't care who you are and what your passions are. Shooting something with a gun does not feel like shooting something with a bow. It is a night and day different experience. And whether it was a bear or a deer or an elk or a goat, they all had that same feeling of intimacy. Um, for fun, my favorite animal to shoot with a bow is a bear because it's the only hunt for me that's not stressful because I'm not worried about success and I just enjoy myself and have fun. So maybe that'll be my if you put a gun to my head, that's the animal I'm picking.
I laugh because it's bear hunting's the spring is the only really super enjoyable time of hunting. Besides, like, just you enjoy hunting in the fall, obviously, like that's why we do it.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a stressful, feel like you're against the clock grind, like weather. It's
stressful.
different. Yeah, it is stressful.
And I don't want to lose all of that. Like I think it's important to temper it and not let it override your entire psychology. But I don't want to lose all of it. I like the tension. I like the stress. I want to stay focused on the task at hand.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with having a little bit of it. Sometimes I got to work and I let it get out of hand. But that's why the spring is just the spring, man. Just go out and have a good time. Maybe you get a bear, maybe you don't. It's not that big a deal. Maybe you just bring home a meat bear. Who cares? Maybe you kill a big old stud. Who cares? Like I just find it's just fun.
Mm.
We're gonna skip the gear, or did you come up with an answer? Gear you sold that you regretted?
I've never sold anything that. Wait. I've never sold anything. I don't think I've ever sold anything that I've regretted. But I haven't really sold a lot of things because
Yeah.
I have totes of it in the garage, and my wife will be more than happy to back me up on that. No, I've always been the type of person. I think I'm pretty close to the same as you, Jay. Is like you try and buy something first,
Buy once, cry once, my friend.
buy once, and with this industry, it's like one of the things that like it reigns
golden rule.
so true here.
100%.
And you get a lot of the good thing is if you do buy good stuff, a lot of the times if you want to switch up, you get your money back or close to it, right? So
I believe in that. It served me very well in camera gear as well. Like
yeah.
I've probably had 7 or 8 different like full blown DSLR setups, and I've done very, very, very well Um, the fuck? I've done very well moving from one camera system to another camera system simply because um, if you buy nice shit, you can get 70 or 80% of your money back out of it.
Definitely.
I'm going to revisit that one next week because I think it's a good question and I want to dig deeper into it. And I'm also going to revisit the Aero building question. So a gentleman asked about the basics of Aero building. Um, and I'm actually going to cover that in more detail probably next week because I'm about to build my own new arrows from the ground up. So um, I'll be changing the spine because I'm moving from 80 pounds to 70 pounds, and that basically means you change everything. So I kind of have an idea in my head what the setup is going to be. The other thing that I'm playing around with is that I might start up a custom aero building service. There isn't one in BC, as far as I know, and most of the shipping costs to have stuff like that from the States is pretty brutal. But there's two or three arrows in particular that I really like, and two or three component systems I really like. And I was thinking I could buy those in bulk and then maybe offer like a consulting service where people could phone in and talk about your experience level, the bow you shoot, what your goals are for animals, and then we could put together a setup for you, and then I could build you a dozen of those, and do it at a fairly affordable rate, but obviously with a bit of a premium on top of the costs to cover my labor. I actually just ordered an arrow saw and a chronograph
Cool.
today. And
Nice.
so the bow shop is looking pretty complete, man. We got a press, we got a vise, got an arrow saw, got a chronograph, and I'm kind of half ass, building an archery shop in my garage because I'm kind of frustrated with the lack of a hunting focused archery shop in the lower mainland. And maybe you might see Mindful Hunter Archery in the not so distant future.
Cool.
Yeah. Um, anything else you want to add, man? I think I went on too many rants tonight. I think I
No,
monopolized
I
the
think that was
conversation.
good. I mean, we'll do that research on the.
Yeah, let's because you're gonna come on once a month. Let's
Yeah,
pick a date. We don't have to do it right now, but like we'll earmark something 3 or 4 weeks out so that we both know what we're looking at and we can both do our homework
yeah, no,
and then
for
have a
sure.
more intelligent conversation about um, those issues.
Yeah, no, that
We can
makes
even try
sense.
and get somebody on the province to hop on here with us.
I
Like
would
it's
like to.
surprising some of the people that'll agree to come on a podcast.
Yeah, no, I'd like to know where the funds are going. Anyways, I mean, it should be going back in, but we'll see. And then what the numbers actually are. Like,
Yeah.
I'd be surprised. So, yeah, no, that sounds awesome, man. And good luck tomorrow. Drive safe and enjoy yourself. It should be fun down there. I mean,
Yeah, man.
they got a
I'm
pretty
excited.
yeah, they got a pretty sweet range and everything. So that'll be pretty good time.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited.
Awesome.
All right, buddy. Have a good night.
Cheers,
Thanks for
then.
hopping on. For
Yeah, for
everybody
sure.
else, um, like, comment, share, subscribe, engage with the platform in any way that you can. It's deeply appreciated. Um, thanks everybody for popping on, and as always, thanks for tuning in. Night, everybody. Night, Greg.
Cheers.